With the strengths-based model, what happens for an administrator, just like I think it's Lewis and Lopez, when they wrote about 5 principles of strengths-based education. One part of that, one of the principles says it needs to be individualized. And so what happens for the administrator and the faculty member, it individualizes the student experience to say that, well, there's a reason why public speaking may not be as valuable for you, or you may not like it, you write better than you public speak. Well, there's promptings for that, there's reasons for that. And so I think understanding the individualization of the student can help build effective strategies that looks at what is right with this individual compared to, of course, the deficit model that says something's wrong with them. As a faculty lecturer, I teach about 120 students a semester. So all of my students take the assessment, and I integrate it into the classroom where I have activities, I have assignments. Since I teach public speaking and writing, what happens is that as students are training in class, I give them strengths-based feedback. I keep it as a conversation piece, if you will. In other words, it's a common language in our class. And so all the students will comment on another student's practice and say, man, your positivity showed up today, or your woo really showed itself as we were practicing. So I use it in the classroom. So a student who approached me after class, she says, Conrad, I've got to tell you the story about what StrengthsFinder's done for me. She starts to talk about how she had a certain family member that told her that what she says is not valuable, what she says is not important. She has high communication. And so for her to be able to verbally process and to share herself is a deep need and a value. She needs a mirror and a platform to communicate, to share her thoughts. And here's this family member saying, no, it's not valuable. And so when she looked at me, she said, you have opened up my world in a way like never before. You have done things, and the Strength Finder has shifted my very framework of how I see myself. So that's just a nugget, a small story of many, but just the power of how it's empowering many students.
The thing that I see when we really focus in on student strength is I've been experiencing a change in their mindset, in our students' mindset, that they feel like they can actually accomplish their goals. And I think for so many years we had a certain, say 30% of our student body that just didn't think they could get it done. And now with the strengths-based approach to that, and when kids feel like they can actually accomplish their goals, I find they're driving their own learning, they're working much harder, and they really believe in themselves, and I think that's the big difference.
Trying to empower adolescents, those tweens in those difficult middle school years, to identify their talents early. The idea that, if we had all learned our talents 10 or 20 years earlier, what kind of cumulative effect would that have had?
We've tried to use it as that focus on positivity and the common vocabulary to help understand ourselves and be self-reflective, but also the people that we work with and how we can collaborate and work best as teams. Well, one of the things we have, a lot of our buildings have taken it upon themselves to post the strengths, to create strengths mantras, kind of personal mission statements where they use that language to really express themselves so their students can get to know them better. So we've tried to really use that to promote that positive culture and increase engagement in staff and students.
I was hired by Henrico County Schools when they were opening up a new middle school in the area to come in and do their leadership development teams. They wrote a grant in order to bring me in, and because of the grant, they had to document the changes that they made and what they learned. And they wound up switching 3 different teachers to different roles right before the doors opened up, knowing what their strengths were at that point. And it was a very successful first year for the middle school, and they attributed that to the Strengths Finder.